Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the State of Illinois Agricultural Education, Value-Added Education in Illinois. How exciting is it to be here today, huh? First of all, I want to take a second, welcome everybody in the room, and I also want to say everybody out there joining us live via the internet, we appreciate you joining us today. I know there's students from Tri-Valley High School out there where I serve as high school principal watching live in those classrooms, so I want to say hello to those folks and also to the other students throughout Illinois as well as community members all over our state watching live via the internet right now. This is a culmination of a lot of hard work, and the Illinois Committee for Agricultural Education, where I serve as chairman, and also the Illinois Leadership Council for Agricultural Education came together months ago to come up with this idea, to get everybody in Illinois together involved in ag education to talk a little bit about all that we do positively for students throughout Illinois. And that's what today's about. Today's about sharing the success stories and what the state of ag education is in Illinois. So it's an exciting time. My name is David Mauser, like I said, and I serve as principal at Tri-Valley High School, and I do serve as the Illinois Committee of Ag Education chairman. But many people may say, well, what brings you here today, and why do you want to do this exactly, and why are you here to introduce? You know, my experiences started as an FFA student, wearing the blue and gold FFA jacket, just as many students out there today in their classrooms get to wear. You know, I can still remember what it was like to walk into my first ag class when our teacher said that you were going to have to recite the FFA creed. And I remember distinctly what it felt like, the butterflies and the nerves that went through my body when I was told I had to memorize 5 paragraphs and stand up in front of our class and deliver that. So as a freshman in 1989 at Normal Community High School, Larry Lowe, our ag teacher, stood there in front of all of us and said, "Who's first?" And I can remember walking up there, scared as can be, stood up in front of my class, and I said, "I believe in the future of agriculture, with a faith born not of words, but of deeds," right? Little did I know at the time that my experience doing that in front of that class was going to be the beginning of a leadership experience like no other. You know, to have the experiences to be involved in the FFA organization and all that ag education gave me the opportunity to be involved in was an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything. And having graduated and getting the experience as a student and graduating from college, I decided to become an agricultural teacher. And I remember when I became an ag teacher, I'm not sure I fully understood what value-added education was until I had the opportunity to meet one of my very favorite students of all time. This student was a student with special needs. And this student was one of those kids that he wanted to be involved in our ag program. And I remember trying to figure out a way to get him involved. And the one thing he wanted more than anything else was his very own FFA jacket, just like many of the kids that are out there watching have one of their own today with their name on it. Well, this particular student wanted his name on his jacket. And I remember distinctly what it was like trying to find a contest that this student with special needs in my class could be involved in. And I came across the crops judging contest at that time. And if there's one thing that my student could do better than anybody else, it was memorize. And I remember we celebrated it every day, and he would memorize the seed vials. And the day of the contest, the day before the contest, his mother, actually he came in, the FFA jacket came to us at school. And I'll never forget what it felt like to give him that FFA jacket with his name on it. That student with special needs, his face lit up, smiles. The next day, with the day of the FFA contest, his very first contest, his mother called me. And I want to tell you this story because I think it's important that we understand what ag education can do for a student. Mother called me and told me that the night before, Mr. Mauser, I went up to tell my son it was time for him to go to bed. He was preparing for his FFA contest. And he had all the seed vials laid out on his bed. And I told him it was time for him to go to bed, but he wasn't ready yet because he didn't want to let you down, Mr. Mauser. And I thought, you know, that's a great thing for a teacher to hear. She said, "I went up an hour later, though, Mr. Mauser. And I told my student, I told my son, it's time for you to go to bed. You've got to go to bed right now. You've got a big day tomorrow, your very first agriculture career development event." But see, the problem is the student was already asleep on top of his covers in nothing but his tidy whities and his brand new FFA jacket with his name on it, right? And that's when his mother told me this story. And she said, "I'll tell you what, I want you to understand this is the first time that my son has ever felt like he belongs." And that hit home with me. You see, I realized that ag education was not just about what it had done for me as a young student and given me the opportunity to be a leader. It's about every kid, every student, and every person involved in ag education having the opportunity to succeed. So then the question, oh, thank you. So then the question becomes this: why here, why now, and why in this way did we choose to present this message to you? Well, we choose here because the National PAS Conference is going on. This is a great opportunity for us to come together and celebrate leadership. You know, student leadership, things that are going on in the individual contests and activities with students across the nation. There are students sitting in this room with the blue and gold jackets, So this is the place to do it. It's in Springfield. You know, we've got a lot of government issues going on. There's a lot of things happening. So this is definitely the place. So that why here is answered easily in that way. You know, why now? Well, that's an easy answer. Because I think right now we're in unprecedented times in education. Certainly funding is an issue for everyone watching out there, and everyone in this room knows that. Funding in education is an issue today. And many times as a high school principal and as a high school teacher, it may feel like in many ways we're being persecuted for doing good things. And I think now more than ever, we need to make sure we're telling our story so that people out there understand that there are positive things happening in education. And ag education is a really good example of that. So why in this way? We chose this way via webinar and having the opportunity to have everyone come together for a very specific reason. Ladies and gentlemen, this is differentiated instruction. This is 21st century learning. And we talk about what's happening in our classrooms. And when I talk to my students at Tri-Valley High School in Downs, you know, we are pushing all the time to utilize technology. And we chose today, rather than make people come to us, we wanted to come to you. So we hope you enjoy what we've got in store for you today. We've got opportunities for you to hear about education and agricultural education because it's a process, it's a program that certainly has a lot of value. Thank you. With that, I would like to introduce our first speaker for today from the Illinois State Board of Education, Susie Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Mauser. What a hard act you are to follow. It's truly a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon as a daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter of farmers in this great state. I've not only been a strong supporter of agriculture, but also agricultural education and the opportunities it brings to the students, the youth of our state. Ag education could not be more important than it is today. You know, I've been around a while, and I've had a chance to watch agricultural education grow and change and evolve over several decades. I can remember a time when I was in high school and I wanted to take ag education, but I couldn't because at that time ag education was primarily, at least in the school where I attended, for boys who were going into farming. So my brother was able to take ag education, but girls were not allowed, or at least not encouraged. Fast forward to today. I can't tell you how I feel when I go into a school, into an ag classroom, or into an FFA event, and I see not only lots of girls in those classes, lots of guys, I see minority students, I talk to students who want to pursue careers in agriculture, and I talk to students who want to be doctors and everything in between. We truly, through the great leadership that has been afforded to ag education in this state, we've come a long, long way with opportunities. As some of you probably already know, we are moving and transitioning to new learning standards in English language arts and in math. Our state leaders and leaders from across this nation have finally recognized that it is not only important to learn content knowledge, but it is how our students and how the adults are able to use that content knowledge to solve real life issues and be able to solve real world problems, to bring relevance into the classroom, which is what has been happening in agricultural education for decades. As we transform our educational system, there is an acknowledgement that each and every one of our students must have the knowledge, skills, abilities, and attitudes to be prepared for something after high school. And everything we do in pre-K to 20 needs to be connected. It needs to be transparent for students. And that all of our efforts today for today's students need to be preparing them for careers, to make good choices, and to have the opportunities to be able to make those good choices. It is with such great pride that I talk about agricultural education in Illinois. You may not realize it, but agricultural education in this state is recognized as a national model of excellence. Our classrooms, right here in this state and throughout this state, are the place where students make those connections between content and the application of that content knowledge each and every day. I believe we are having a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for career and tech ed and ag education in particular to come together to embrace and align to the new rigor of the new Common Core standards and to share a lifetime of best practices that all of you have learned relative to the application of that content knowledge. Academic teachers have a lot to learn from career and tech ed teachers about relevance and bringing application to the content knowledge. And I challenge you to work together in partnership to make those good things happen in classrooms. Ag education in this state is a shining star. It serves as one of the best examples of good things, of how good things can happen for kids when the adults in the school and the adults in the community come together and work in partnership with those students in mind towards that one common end, and to embrace that both the rigor and the relevance of learning in our schools and in our classroom is what is most important. I'll just conclude with a short story that really brings it home for me. The youngest of our 4 children, Michaela, is in the 8th grade. And last week, she went to register for her high school courses. And as I was looking at her courses she was going to take, I noticed she had signed up for ag. Now, she's the first of our 4 that had signed up for ag. And I said, so, you're going to take ag next year? And she goes, yeah, Mom, she goes, I really thought about it, and I decided I don't really need a study hall because I really want to take ag. Well, okay, why did you decide that? Well, they'd had an exploratory class in 8th grade, and she said, I learned so much. She said, I learned about the environment, I learned about plants, I learned about food, but her best comment came at the end when she said, Mom, of all the classes I've taken, she said, my ag class is the one class where I think I learned something new every single day I went there. So for Michaela, ag is in her future, and I know that relevance will be in that classroom for her. Thank you very much for all you do.
Give another big round of applause for the Illinois State Board of Education, Susie Morrison, and all the support that we continue to get.